a predictable blowout loss in Game 5, the Warriors were puzzled again by the Rockets' defense, except this time it wasn't the aggressive on-ball hounding of Amen Thompson, but the looming zone defense anchored by the Twin Towers, Alperen Şengün and Steven Adams. Steve Kerr and the Warriors haven't been shy about their problems with this lineup.
Yeah, they're giving us problems with that two big lineup, and we see some things on tape that we can do better, but definitely poses a major threat to us.
Last night, the Warriors simply couldn't solve the double big zone, which allowed the Rockets to build an insurmountable lead in the first half. So what happened? And as we'll cover at the end, how do the Warriors bust this zone? Let's review. The Rockets had success with this zone in the non-Steph minutes, and one of the ways the Warriors played into that was settling for bad shots. So here the Rockets are in their double big zone with Alperen Şengün and Steven Adams, and they're in their zone alignment. Now, GP2 corner three has been pretty good, honestly, since the trade deadline, but the Rockets are totally willing to live with that instead of the Warriors trying to find ways to bust inside the zone. Here, let's look at another possession where the Warriors settle for a relatively bad shot. Moody makes a swing pass, and watch as Aaron Holiday doesn't really even try and contest that Draymond Green three, because again, the Rockets with their double big zone are looking for the Warriors to settle for bad shots. Here, he actually has an inside step beyond the three-point line. It might have been nice to see him drive inside and try and collapse the zone, but instead he just takes a step back and then launches a three that's pretty ill-advised. The Warriors are already down by 25, but again, the Rockets are always willing to live with those shots whenever you're not working harder to collapse the zone. The other issue was slow decision-making, which can really stymie your ability to get inside. So if we just pause here, we can see the zone alignment that they're in. But we also see that the Warriors have done something correct here by trying to flash inside. That's one of the ways you can bust 2-3 zone looks like this, is that you want to get in the middle of the zone and force collapses. And when you get those collapses, then you can make kickouts or back cut or find things of the sort. But if you take too long, as you see, Pods basically stands here for 1-2 seconds, which gives Amen Thompson and Aaron Holiday enough time to predict this pass coming to the inside of the zone. And then they're both just going to instantly hound Post, who's much larger. It's a lot easier to pick someone like that when you give that type of bounce pass. And then it's just Rockets ball and they're off in transition, which is exactly what the Warriors don't want. The Warriors, with their slow decision-making, also passed up too many good shots. As we pause it here, Guy Santos actually does a great job getting inside the middle of the zone, and when you flash middle, you can collapse the middle of the zone, which allows things like this back cut. Watch as Brandon Pajemski is going to make this back cut as Amen Thompson is going to stay up top in this 2-3 alignment. But as soon as he gets inside, let's pause it right here. There is a decent amount of time where he's wide open. We've seen Pods put it up reverse like this plenty of times, but instead of doing that, he waits a bit too long. As he holds his position in the air, he hangs for just a split second too long. Obviously, we see the vision with Quinton Post wide open in the corner. That's not a bad shot. But because he takes too long to process and because he passes up that layup, Şengün is able to pick this out and ultimately get the ball. And then the Rockets are again off in transition. Now, here's another opportunity where multiple passed up threes lead to a worse shot. See, Pods is wide open here. Şengün is a few steps behind, and Pods pretty clearly could have taken a three here. Of course, because Şengün is making this hard closeout, you can also make a drive yourself. Pods drives that closeout, and it would have been nice for Guy to then make that quick cut. but Gee actually ends up spacing out to the three-point line. So then you might expect him to take that three-point shot. But of course, now Jabari Smith Jr. has had enough time to close out because he took too long on that back pedal. So what happens? He makes a swing pass to Jimmy Butler, who unfortunately has to jump for the pass, which gives Amen Thompson and Tari Eason enough time to close out. And now we just have Jimmy Butler, who's not an especially gifted three-point shooter, taking a three-pointer with not much time left on the shot clock. And that long-range Jimmy three is just not the best shot that was even available in that possession, where there were 1, 2, or 3 better shots available earlier in the shot clock. Now, finally, let's talk about how the Warriors can better attack this zone. They had a few good possessions, starting with this double drag look in transition. Here, both Jimmy Butler and Post are setting these transition drag screens. And of course, there are a lot of options that the Warriors can run off of those. Some being that both of these screeners can dive. One can go set an away screen. One can go pop out and shoot. In this case, Curry draws both Steven Adams and Aaron Holiday, which allows Jimmy Butler to slip into wide open space. And of course, because he's wide open in the inside, as we've discussed through most of the video, when you get inside, you force the zone to collapse, and usually you can find a wide open shooter. As he finds GP2 in this corner, uncontested, which of course means that Eason and Holiday are going to want a hard closeout in this zone to prevent an easy three. Now, with Steph Curry on the floor, you have a much more threatening attack against the zone, as now Fred VanVleet is going to do everything he can to sell out to Curry to make sure that he can't get a wide open three. This, of course, means that there is a wide open shooter because you have a double in the corner, and then you have Jimmy Butler and Guy Santos with Şengün and Steven Adams. GP2 makes a great skip pass to Quinton Post out on the wing. He misses the three, but that's a really good possession against the zone. And of course, it used Steph Curry. Now, here's an example of how you can attack the zone on the perimeter. Moody has been great this season at driving from the perimeter on slower footed defenders. And again, that's one of the ways you can attack a zone is by getting inside. He gets inside on a slower footed tower. And because of that, look at his positioning. Look at Alperen Şengün basically swinging his arm to try and go for a block here. You forced the collapse from both of the bigs. You forced Aaron Holiday to turn his head. Now, similar to the last possession, you make a swing pass to Draymond Green, you force a rotation down here, and then you swing it back up to Jimmy Butler, who's able to pump fake Amen Thompson. He doesn't make the three, of course, but it's still a great shot that you love to see in these zone looks. Now, the Warriors did have some makes against this zone, as in this possession, they're running staggers again for pods to run off. And when you run action like this, when you run sets, you can often give yourself good advantages against the zone because you can force mismatches, get yourself going downhill, or force closeouts against more dangerous shooters. As here, this eventually finds its way to Quinton Post. Now, Quinton Post has been maybe not shooting the best this series, but he still gets a closeout from Fred VanVleet and Aaron Holiday because you don't want to leave a shooter like him open. And of course, where does GP2 go? He's going to flash middle. This is exactly where you want to be against a 2-3 zone look, especially with these double bigs, because now let's look at what's happening on the floor. You have Pods who's back cutting, which means that Şengün can't fully commit to Guy Santos, who is also wide open on the wing. And with GP2's presence inside, Steven Adams also has to stay attached. Now, there's two different options. He opts to give Guy Santos the wide open three, which the Rockets might be okay with allowing, but that's still a really good shot against what has been a dangerous zone. And Guy Santos drains it. The Warriors are no strangers to zone looks or any type of defense that you throw at them. The issue isn't that the Warriors don't know how to take down these giants or these zones, but that they haven't been able to do so consistently without Steph on the floor. And hopefully, on Friday night, with the entire world watching, the Warriors can go back to the basics. Thanks for watching. Let us know if you agree.